Well, and then we of course will also have the men's night session between Juan Martín del Potro and Roger Federer. That'll be an exciting one. I think they've played 3 times against each other, and Juan Martín hasn't had a chance so far.
Well, but that's the record that Mr. Federer has against everybody. I mean, his record against Thomas Berdych was 9-1, I think. He was down 2 sets to love. But I think that he got a scare against Berdych. I think that he showed everyone that he's not just the best ball striker. He fights really hard. And he said in the interview afterwards that Berdych did not give him the match, but Federer took it from him. So if he has that mindset, then it's a new Federer, because we haven't really seen that before. He hasn't had to have that mindset. So I think Federer from now on is going to be really dangerous if he physically is fine.
But Pat Del Potro is a very dangerous young upcoming player. He's unbelievable solid from the baseline. What will Roger have to do? Obviously try to get him out of that comfort zone?
I think one of the biggest thing is that now Roger is vulnerable. Over the last year he has seen that players can beat him, and to lose that aura in the locker room is a big thing, and that's what he's lost. So Del Potro is going to go out there thinking, I can beat Roger Federer. Well, that's all of a sudden they're on a level playing field. Now we'll see how good Roger Federer is. He's a great player, we all know that. Can he come out and try and blow Del Potro away at the beginning? We'll wait and see, but I think he's a very good player, and I think it's going to be a very good match. Who
do you think is going to go through? You have to give me a name.
Give you a name? I'm going to stick with Roger in this situation, but 51-49%. I think it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a close one. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I think Roger is going to beat Del Potro. Are you asking him who he thinks is going to win the tournament?
Yes, that was the question I would have asked after this match.
Well, I said Roger is going to win the tournament, so I'm going to stick with that.
And who is going to win the tournament, men and women's?
Nadal, and women, I'm going to say Dementieva.
Well, we'll see if the boys are right. We'll soon find out.
Thoughts of Barbara Schett, Mats Wilander and Pat Rafter on this one, just coming up. Players about to give us a few words, a few of their final thoughts before coming out onto Rod Laver Arena. First, Juan Martín del Potro.
First up, Juan Martín del Potro. Juan Martín, tonight a great opportunity to make your first Grand Slam semi-final.
Yeah, we will play against the best player of ever, but I will try to do my best and try to beat him.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And our 3-time champion, Roger Federer, coming through. Roger, in some ways, in the previous round, you played some of your best tennis in the end to get out of it.
Yeah, I did play well in the end. It was a tough match for me against Berdych, so I hope I can get off a better start, because I think that's what's going to be key tonight.
Good on you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thoughts of Del Potro and Federer. The Swiss bidding to reach his 19th Grand Slam semi-final in a row. Keep an incredible run going if he can do that. Del Potro already the youngest quarter-finalist here in 17 years since Richard Krajicek. Krajicek in 92 actually went on the semi-finals as well, and Del Potro therefore is trying to equal that and bid to become the youngest man to reach the last 4 since Krajicek achieved that 17 years ago. So Rod Laver Arena, the spectators inside settling down again after that terrific ladies singles quarter-final between Safina and Dokic, which, to confirm, Safina did win to set up a semi-final meeting with Vera Zvonareva. All attention now, though, on this men's singles quarter-final end as we wait to see who will meet Andy Roddick, the 7th seed, in the semi-finals. Filling up then in here for Federer against Del Potro, and a good time, therefore, to hand you over to our commentary team for this one. Fru McMillan, and first of all, Chris Bradman.
Thanks very much, Guy. Yes, people still talking about that last match, perhaps. Interesting to hear Fru's thoughts of that match, Fru.
Well, high tension and a little bit more drama. I didn't think it was a great tennis match. I thought there were a few too many errors, but certainly some very effective play, and perhaps a surprisingly good performance by Dokic, considering what she's been through.
1 minute.
So I think she further proved herself in front of an adoring public.
Yes. That's for sure. And of course, all 15,000 will come back. They always do, to watch the great one. What sort of performance will it be tonight? Welcome along, British Eurosport, for the last match of the day on day 9 of the Australian Open. Roger Federer against Juan Martin Del Potro. 19th major quarter-final in a row. Federer staggering that, looking for his 19th major semi-final in a row. Even more staggering. Up against him, Juan Martin Del Potro, who's never beaten the Swiss maestro. And if Federer rebounds after the scare against Berdych, he could be in for a hell of a frightening night here. Del Potro, your views on this one, Fru?
Well, I've always thought Federer might struggle a little bit in the tournament, that he wouldn't be quite at his best. But I don't think he even needs to be at his best to beat Del Potro tonight. Unless Del Potro starts particularly well and Federer not so well, I really can't see Del Potro shaping up against him. I think Del Potro has got a terrific future, but I don't think he's got the most in his game just at the moment to trouble Federer, unless Federer plays somewhat similar to the way he played against Berdych. I don't think Del Potro's got quite the ammunition that Berdych has, and as a result I expect Federer to have a comparatively easy start in the match.
Got so many t-shirts in the closet, hasn't he, Federer? Been everywhere, done it everywhere bar the French, to the very highest level. Looking to equal, of course, Pete Sampras' tally of 14 majors. At this one, in his way, in this quarter-final, a man who had a quite stunning 2008, 4 titles in a row, finished the year ranked number 9. On his day, he can beat and threaten the very best. He will probably need to be somewhere near that to have any chance in this Australian Open quarter-final. Del Potro won the toss and elected to receive. Federer to begin.
Love 15.
6'6", 1m98. 6'1", Federer, 1m85. The perfect frame, many say, for a tennis player.
15 all.
Federer probably said that with his record if he was 7'6". Plenty of bugs around in the heat at the start of play. 26 degrees Celsius, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. At 10 o'clock in the evening when they walked onto court.
Which is super. Super for them. Super for the crowd.
40-15.
So 20 aces in his 5-setter against Berdych.
Well played, magnificent. How the backhand has improved.
First game.
Do you think Berdych has stopped kicking himself yet?
Well, in many ways, only has himself to blame. Yes, Federer's game improved, but Berdych let him into the match, didn't he? Federer was a shadow of himself in many ways, and Berdych really should have won the match. Self-destruct. But that was rather an ominous start, I feel, for Del Potro. Federer's backhand looking sharp, and you think in his previous match, his ratio of backhands to forehand was something like 7 backhand winners and 18 forehand winners. So there's no doubt, as most of us know, that the forehand does the job for Federer. But if his backhand is in full flight, watch out.
$15. 30 left.
Is that a sign of things to come from Federer, looking to take the ball early on the rise and the backhand? Many have criticised his chipped backhand return. We're all looking, of course, for the absolutely perfect player.
New hairstyle, less tucking into the bandana. Always looks so smart on and off the court. Super. Trading so well there, Delpottro.
Yes, he held up well. A rally of 26 strokes. Started a lot of it down the middle of the court, did Delpottro, but then once he got a bit more shape on his backhand there down the line, a very important shot, of course, for any player. We saw it even in the women's singles. Down the line shots proving very effective.
40-30.
Of course, was part of the Argentine team that got to the Davis Cup final, played an early part in the final before injury. Intervened, but great experience. Big match atmosphere for tonight.
Game Delpottro.
Honours even.
1 game on.
Yes, it's a long way down from 6'6", 1 metre 98 to the slice backhands, isn't it?
Yes, I thought he handled them pretty well. In fact, even though taken to 30, I think it was a good game by Delpottro. He's hitting the ball well. And perhaps purposely choosing the big target early on, not going for lines. Let's get into a good rhythm.
Love 15.
Made the comment, didn't he, that it's going to take an amazing performance to beat me at a major. Do you think that gives them the sort of mental approach that, well, let's see what players have got early on? And then he sort of decides the sort of level he's going to need to play at.
Well, it's an interesting one. He obviously assumes that he's always going to play extremely well. And let's face it, he didn't against Burdick. It wouldn't have been an amazing performance had Burdick beaten him.
I mean, that was really why I asked the question through to a degree, because if that is a sort of mindset that he has, it could explain the very slow, sluggish start, as if to say, well, I'm going to come through it. I just, you know, and it sort of gets you off on the bad foot, perhaps.
Most unusual shot played by Federer.
40-15.
Doing with his forehand what he does with his backhand.
Well, he's not happy with his shoe and he's not happy with his shorts, Del Potro. He's fiddling with both.
At least he doesn't fiddle with the parts of his shorts that Andy Roddick does.
Nadal on serve. 8 minutes. Federer 2-1.
Federer leads by 2-1.
I think it's time for a break.
In 2009, follow the top sporting events on Eurosport Player, Eurosport's web TV service. Watch all of Eurosport, Eurosport 2 and exclusive additional programming live and online. Don't miss the Australian Open live on the Player. Select the match you want, follow the players you want. All the coverage is live and exclusive on Eurosport Player. Wherever you are in Europe, follow the Australian Open anytime, any place, in your own language. Join us. Go to player.eurosport.com.
Lacoste, official outfitter of the Australian Open.
Sit down quickly, please.
Interesting backstage as well before he came onto court that he, Del Potro that is, feels that Federer is the greatest of all time. A lot of players are saying that now as if to take pressure off themselves. He's never beaten Federer. He's never yet got a set off him.
He's in no position really to judge, is he? I mean, I don't blame them. You know, they're of the same sort of era. They're playing at this time, and therefore they think whoever's the best at this time, and going on what some other people say, he must be the best of all time. But, you know, what does he know about the great players of the past?
Yeah. Mentioned earlier that Rod Laver arrived in Melbourne today, sitting on his own court.
Yes, it would be like me saying, well, Laver was that much better than, I don't know, Perry, or, you know. I never saw Fred Perry play.
Yeah.
How can I really gauge Tilden? Yeah. Talking to many of the past pros here, some of the older pros, they still think Jack Kramer is the best of all time.
Good serving. An interesting comment I heard the other day was, well, how can Federer be the greatest of all time when he's got a record against Nadal that's not even the best in his own era? Interesting point. Chip and charge dealt with. Not a lot on the chip.
So good footwork there by Del Potro. Nearly 2 meters of him. It's a bit like moving the Eiffel Tower, but somehow it shifted. He's much more balanced really in terms of his, you know, the winners off his forehand and backhands. He's quite capable of striking more backhand winners than Federer. That's a shot I'm a little worried about. He quite often comes over it just a little too soon. It's as if sometimes they're thinking of tall people. He doesn't quite get down low enough to it. There, in fact, it was just turning the racket head over a little too soon.
This is a big point already, really, isn't it? For Del Potro. Good serve. Would Federer have tried to hit with a tall man in preparation for this? Serve at him?
Well, I think Burdick's match would be terrific preparation anyway.
Yeah, 6'4", isn't he, Berdych? Yeah. Good point.
I suppose you could always get somebody to stand on a chair and serve it, yeah?
Yeah. Well, it was well wide.
Yeah. And a mishit. He doesn't get 10 out of 10 for style or hitting the ball in the middle.
Bit of a reluctant challenge, a la Federer. It's the other person in the Open era that's got a wonderful record against Federer. That's Hawkeye.
Delpotrro has 2 challenges remaining.
Lost his serve 3 times against Cilic.
Well, that's an interesting pattern and choice of shots from Federer. Will we see many more of those?
Such a contrast again to the women's game, to see these slices, just change of pattern, change of tempo, and a very good effort by Delpotrro. So he's moving well, he's actually hitting the ball pretty well in the middle. He's coping with Federer's variety. Can he cope with a break point? Would you believe it?
It's a great save, isn't it? Oh. Federer turned to kick himself.
Absolutely.
Juice.
It wasn't so much his condor-like wingspan either. It was just Federer slipping up. His first volley really sat up for Federer. I thought he'd murder it. Well, give him his due. Did his bit of stretch, but admits to a bit of luck.
Advantage Delpotrro.
There's this habit of blowing in his hand as if cleaning the barrel of his revolver.
Great footwork. And I know I say it every time. I have the privilege of calling one of his matches, but I love it when he looks to release it in that way. He can hit it both ways. He becomes so much more dangerous as a player.
Well, he's shown us, you know, a couple of variations on the returner serve, the more aggressive backhand return, and here really using those dancing feet well. He'd do well in Spiegelworld, wouldn't he?
Yes.
In addition to the tournament this year, not sure that it's worked.
They had to tone it down, the adult show at night, after its first evening.
Even you blushed, I believe.
Another point Federer, or Philly, should have won. This is good resistance from Delpotrro, hanging into this fourth game.
A long way back. Most players would, of course, would have taken that smash before letting it bounce. Federer's not the deadliest overhead. He's got a good smash, but he's not deadly.
If you just listen to the sound of the hit, off the modern man's racket. It's almost like watching a table tennis match at times. The hits come so quickly one after another.
And it's a bit like dynamite popping too, the impact that they make. It's one thing neither Perry nor Laver could really have emulated. Different equipment. It's shortening the angle. And of course he's got that masterly control of the forehand.
Break point again. Second of the game. There's the first break and a come on from Federer. He's in meaner mood at the start of this match, by far to his last.
Well, the very fact that the sound of the racket on ball is, as you were saying, how good it sounds, is a good indication, I think, actually from both players, but particularly impressed with Federer's backhand. He was able to take on Del Potro, hitting his backhand down the line against Del Potro's big forehand. Generally, it's a lot slower than Del Potro's forehand. Federer lost his serve 5 times against Burdick. 5 sets. 1 time a set, average. Making a big sound with the forehand, not only with his voice but also with the racket, but it's just not going close enough to the lines to really trouble Federer.
The bugs are dropping all over the place. Just a smart volley. Against most players, that would have been a firm volley, but against Del Potro, an awkward one.
Yes, with Del Potro retreating from the baseline, you can see where he is. Federer knows that this doesn't have to be too cute.
Love game for Federer to extend the lead. Plain sailing at the moment. 4-1.
Crossover Soul. Because some of us were born to shop. Because airport dining has come even further than you have. Because a day spa can also be a middle of the night spa. But mostly because the more we travel, the more discerning we become. we invite you to the Emirates Terminal at Dubai International Airport, where time is enjoyed, not merely passed. Fly Emirates to 6 continents.
The Australian Open, brought to you by Kia, the power to surprise.
This could be a tough night for Juan Martín del Potro. Roger Federer looks very businesslike. Awake, alert, sharp, and good for the 4-1 lead.
Well, he won the point, but if we saw that point again, I think we'd see, apart from the last 2 shots, we'd see 5 or 6 balls hit pretty well down the middle. Federer hardly had to move, thus gave him plenty of volleying practice. He's got to go for a few more lines. All very well to start the match, hitting big shots down the middle of the court.
When you see a forehand following those backhands, you realise the gulf that still exists between Federer's forehand and backhand. I mean, the forehand is amazing.
Yes, and generally the half volley pretty effective too.
Franco Darwin coached Del Potro. Saw Gaudio to a French title 5 years ago. Wow.
You ascribe that to Gaudio and Franco Darwin, do you? I ascribe it to Coria.
Yes. Is that the most extraordinary thing you've ever seen?
Absolutely.
Well, he had a chance to finish the match right there, Del Potro.
Well, I've had some criticism from people who say, you know, fancy saying that Federer hasn't got a fantastic smash. I hope they see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a high lob, but I think actually most players would have put that one away. Nice looking smash.
Yeah. And you're not saying it's a bad smash. No. You're just saying it's not one of the best.
Yeah.
Del Potro's first ace.
Yes, he's had the more powerful serve of the night so far, 210 kilometers an hour, 130 miles an hour. Still, I think now needs to look for something special to break. Maybe a few cross-court forehands, hard hit, but shorter up the court, open up the court if he can.
15 minutes.
Such an effortless action on the serve. And you think how good his serve is, you would expect the smash to be better.
Well, he's tearing through these service games. That's 10 points in a row on serve for Federer. Where did the inroads come from?
Oh, that is so good. And he does it so often. The way he leans away to find the space.
That's why I was surprised he missed the little forehand nearer the net earlier on. He's so handy at playing these.
He's certainly getting his fair share of half volleys so far. Second love service game in a row. Federer, 5-2 first set.
In 2009, follow the top sporting events on Eurosport Player, Eurosport's web TV service. Watch all of Eurosport, Eurosport 2 and exclusive additional programming live and online. Don't miss the Australian Open live on the Player. Select the match you want, follow the players you want. All the coverage is live and exclusive on Eurosport Player. Wherever you are in Europe, follow the Australian Open anytime, any place, in your own language. Join us. Go to player.eurosport.com. The weekend lineup on Europe's #1 sports channel. And a golden chance to net a glorious Grand Slam title. It's endgame of the Australian Open. The mountain high as the alpine skiers do what they love best at Garmisch in Germany. They may only be teenagers, but they have a license to shoot, and the Under-20 Worlds gives them the perfect target. The Australian Open Finals, alpine skiing and biathlon this weekend live on Eurosport.
So much support for Federer wherever he plays. Still most people's #1. It's the banner often that's courtside. New balls, Del Potro, 2-5. Well, I get the feeling we're going to see a special one.
That was, what's the word, mellifluous, I think. The crowd were just oohing and eyeing with that first slice. Rose-Wallian and a touch of Laver with a right hand. Aussies all.
Mellifluous. I always learn a new word when I call a match with you, Fru.
15 all.
I haven't got a clue how to spell it. Comes from some height, doesn't it? 6'6", then the outstretched arm and a bit of a leap.
Well, one of the few times he's gone for the lines, and of course there's no encouragement there. It's one of the reasons I didn't think he would really test Federer, is that he's got everything to make a good serve. It's a bit like Murray used to be and Monfils used to be. Doesn't realize how important in the game the serve is. Just 2 aces thus far. I mean, he's got everything. He should be able to win his games much more easily.
You see a picture at that angle of the serve too. It makes the net look very, very small, his frame. It's almost like a slam dunk, isn't it?
Yes, I know not everybody who's tall necessarily serves well, but it's a great advantage. And most people these days serve a lot better than players of the past. And he should serve better than he does. He's always, that's an into-out serve. He's trying the slice. He's got too many variations.
Yeah. He was asked in the press conference a couple of matches ago, Federer, his thoughts on Hawkeye still. Not a fan. And sometimes he deliberately just challenge to get them out the way so he can play the rest of the set without them.
Going to be an interesting game, this one, because if Federer is just slipping a little bit, this may be somewhat trickier. No doubles yet. So 5 in his last match, which is a lot for him.
He's been serving more doubles lately, hasn't he?
Not a good sign.
Seen a lot of that today as well. Let's on the serve.
15.
Fifth ace.
13 points in a row.
Yeah.
If he can serve out like this, he's back to some of his old form.
13.
It makes winning so much easier, doesn't it? Because the pressure that exacts on your opponents to hold serve. It's Roddick-like. Wow, another let. Someone will have to measure it in a minute.
Well, there's a bulge right near the centre tape.
Just shows you how every day is different. He looks different. He's moving different. He's playing at an altogether different level to the start of his last match. 3 set points.
So after a run of 15 successive points, meagre pickings for Delpottro. Look just a little bit heavier with that one, as if the shoulder had suddenly just grown in size. Little weight here. Delpotro's got to make the most of this.
3rd set point. Perfect. Another come on from Federer. 35 minutes. The first set by 6 games to 3. Mirka, she looks more relaxed for this one too.
Eurosport enters the new year with so much great sport in store. Here are the headliners for 2009. There's a whole stack of winter sport, topped off by the World Championships in alpine skiing, Nordic skiing and biathlon. There's Grand Slam tennis, Melbourne in winter for the Australian Open, springtime in Paris for Roland Garros, and summertime in New York for the US Open. Motorsport needs Superbike, the Le Mans 24-hour race, the World Touring Cars and the World Rally Championship, plus the IRC Monte Carlo. Cycling sees all the one-day classics and the 3 major tours with Lance Armstrong back on the bike. There's swimming, with all the excitement of the 13th World Championships in Rome. Track and field, with the sensational prospects of the World Athletics Championships in Berlin. And a whole lot of football, including the Women's Europeans and the 2010 World Cup qualifiers. That's Eurosport in 2009. Be part of it.
Looks mighty impressive at the moment, Federer, against the world number 6, and he's making Del Potro at times look like somebody ranked a lot lower than 6.
Yes, all those successive tournaments won last year by Del Potro doing the trick. Kitzbühel, Stuttgart, LA, all those. Didn't always beat the world's best. Had a win over Roddick, but even Roddick was partly injured in LA, I think, in the final there.
Super. Again, the footwork like a hovercraft around the court.
And I'm not knocking Del Potro. I mean, the chap's a terrific player, but he's going to be even better. And you see even there where he had command of the point, Federer was able to get the ball back pretty easily.
So in the groove, isn't he? What a contrast.
Well, I hope we see the little move that Federer makes here after playing this shot. Dancing feet. He was with the ball all the way. Let's watch him here. Oops.
I know it's early, but he looks a little beaten already, Del Potro.
Well, I think we see a lot more than just him. I mean, what we're seeing really, and coming to that conclusion by, is the contrast.
Yeah.
Second last shot was actually a pretty good one, but he couldn't back it up.
Just moving some more bugs. Don't want any bad bounces. That's what they're here to see. Arguably the greatest player, playing great. It's turning into that right now. So relaxed, so focused. It's just a pure joy to watch.
Well, this is a virtuoso opening game of the second set, isn't it, by Federer? I mean, that drop shot and then this half volley. The great Lou Hode would have been proud of this one. The feel. No children, but you can just see him putting his hand over his baby's bottom.
That's why players eat in the same restaurants, shower in the same shower. Just to try to recreate the same performance, because it drives players nuts how one day everything can just be in place and the next day so different.
Yes, I thought for a minute you were saying they were, you know, sharing the same shower as Federer just to be able to play like him for some reason. Had me worried there. Again, hit it hard, but had it landed in, Federer was there. I know a lot of it has to do with Federer's movement, but still it's nowhere near the line. He's got to take a bit of pace off, perhaps even at times, to create an angle.
He's only dropped 4 points on serve so far in the match, Federer, and just 1 behind his first serve.
40-15.
I mean, the only opponent at the moment could be overconfidence. It's that good at the moment from Federer. I mean, that's just the stroke of the master. The master of so many strokes in the cupboard. Comfortably. A 7-2 love now.
Well, I've said before, there's of course named after the greatest Australian player, given his record of 2 Grand Slams. That is the 4 majors in 1 year. That's hence the term Grand Slam. I like to call these majors to save Grand Slam for what it is. It's the winning of the 4 majors. That tournament hall in Bâle ought to be named after Federer. Yeah. We're working on it.
Remember that ovation? We were in the arena. 15 minutes, was it? They clapped for. Welcoming back to Bâle, the place he was born, of course. Bought another home in Switzerland just before Christmas in the eastern town of Valbella. Another one for Merker to furnish.
Well, dropping the head, you could understand why. Yes, I think that more for tax purposes. It's a bit like all the French, or most of the French, living in Switzerland, or so many players living in Monte Carlo. Some of the cantons in Switzerland have easier tax regimes than others.
You're the first one that ever said to me, double faults and aces side by side. It does happen so often. Just the playing of the mind. And his mind at the moment is being bruised.
And the immediate direction of the Federer forehand, just dropping the wrist, and it's got even Del Potro on the stretch. His accuracy is just so much greater than his opponent's.
Nearly made that in the first of the break points.
Setting himself high standards.
Challenge, yeah. That looked good, didn't it?
Yeah.
John Blom of Australia in the chair.
Yes, got inside this. It was one of those sort of away swingers.
Yeah. Fourth ace.
He served just 8 in his 4-set win over the equally ginormous Cilic. 3-hour match that it was.
Players can deal with that. A very quick overall back the other way.
Well done, sir.
That's what you've been calling for, better use of the serve. The intent, more than anything, is what you're promoting.
Yes, Sampras was his idol, so there's no doubt about it that he has serving very much in his mind. Trying then to impart a lot of power. Can't blame him for that. He was actually looking to hit somewhat near the line, but just watch this movement. There's not enough of it. He should have had a little extra skipping step towards the ball, and his momentum should have carried him a bit further in towards the court. He was trying to play and check at the same time.
Advantage, Federer.
Court feels so much smaller facing Federer, I'm sure. He'd probably wish for a court and a half to play him against. Or I've got the tram lines, you haven't. Third break point of the game. Frustration for Delpotrro. He's getting dismantled, really. A set and double break is the deficit. Federer well on his way here.
Crossover Soul.
The Australian Open, brought to you by Kia, the power to surprise.
Yes, he'd make a good crooner at times, wouldn't he, Federer? As another entertainer, a different way of entertaining. He's crooning this lot again.
Who would you liken him to as a crooner?
Oh, deep voiced and definitely ballads. And who?
Perry Como.
Yeah, Perry Como. That would be a good one, I think.
Suave-looking man.
Yeah. As we were discussing earlier, you said he just fills a suit brilliantly, doesn't he? All the clothes that he wears just look so elegant on him, his frame.
I think you're fishing for a Nike or two, aren't you?
Totally in control of this quarter-final at the moment, Federer. A 7-3 love. Well, he got a lot of practice early on in the match. He's perfected it.
I don't know about Perry Como, but he's got the footwork here of Michael Jackson, hasn't he?
Yeah, thrillering.
Look at that. It's terrific.
39.
There's no doubt he's lapping this up, Federer.
Yeah.
He's not going to break into a crooning ballad or a big smile, but inwardly he must be very satisfied.
30-15.
And it must feel like heaven compared to the hole that he found himself in against Berdych. 2 sets to love down. That 3-all game third set was huge. He just wants to keep making hay while the mood is so good and the timing is so sweet, just to put this guy away. He'll be ruthless from here. From what we've seen from him in the past.
Oh, challenge that, surely. Yep.
Game Federer. Federer leads by 4-2.
6 points in the match dropped on serve, Federer. 2 behind his first serve, 4 behind his second.
Yes, that's 6 in 7 service games. So you don't have to be a genius to work that one out. Less than a point a game. Very frustrating for Delpottro. Not playing badly, just playing far from well enough.
The variety of shots that we're seeing tonight. It's not every match where you see such variety. Maybe 6'6" against him is part of the reason why he's using the shots to try and unsettle.
No, I think it's just a feel-good feeling that he has.
Yeah.
I mean, he started with early on with one of those. And the backhand
15.
has at times looked sort of almost rapturous, which, you know, isn't typical Federer, because there are usually a lot of mishits, not as many winners. Almost half the winners have come from Federer's backhand.
$30-15.
Well, he's far from giving up, Delpottro, and he's not as emotional as, for instance, some of the women. One thinks of Zvonareva and Chagvadadze, but he is an emotional man. Hasn't yet broken down. The change of ends, scrutinized him carefully. He's keeping his chin up. Can't find a line.
13-40.
Another break point for Federer. 3 of 6 so far.
And one just wonders whether that result earlier in the day hasn't just boosted Federer a little bit as well in the men's singles.
Game Federer.
6 games in a row now for Federer. Players in the locker room think, yeah, I can beat Federer, because he's lost more matches last year than he has done for years. It's these sort of performances that might be offering false hope.
Nunca lo dudé. Sabía lo que tenía que hacer. Lo duro que tenía que jugar. Lo que tenía que practicar. Más duro que cualquier otro. Mucho más duro. Y lo logré.
The Aspire Sports Academy is ready to turn you into the champion you want to be. Aspire today, inspire tomorrow.
Catching up with the latest news and the biofacts of Roger Federer. Serving for a 2-sets-to-love lead. Makes impressive reading too. 57 titles from 78 finals, 13 majors, 14 Tennis Masters Series and 4 Masters Cup. Well played. Oh, and of course the gold medal at the Beijing Olympics. Doubles. Which, he says, I've said it in every one of his matches this year, is responsible for the form he showed, particularly in the final against Murray, to win his 13th major, the aggression and the use of volleys and so on. Hence my comment, play more doubles then. Interesting to see whether he does this year.
Well, Delpotro's done so much stretching. I think he started off the evening at 6'6". I think he's probably put on a few inches, whereas Federer's actually shrunk. I mean, he's Michael Chang inside. He's not had a look at him. He's just standing in the middle of the court, like a conductor. All the movement.
Oh, that's well, I'll refrain from the comment I was going to use. But Delpotro's feeling a little lonely out there right now. 3 set points.
Game and second set.
Another love service game. Still miserly on points conceded on serve. And 7 games in a row against the world number 6, and it's difficult to imagine how he's going to win more games at the moment.
Eurosport HD is now available. A new dimension in sport. Panasonic, official Eurosport HD partner.
Eurosport enters the new year with so much great sport in store. There's a whole stack of winter sport topped up by the World Championships. There's Grand Slam tennis with the Australian Open, Roland Garros and the US Open. Motorsport means Superbike, the Le Mans 24-hour race, World Touring Cars and Rally Cars, plus the IRC. Cycling sees all the one-day classics and the 3 major tours with Lance Armstrong back on the bike. There's swimming with all the excitement of the 13th World Championships in Rome. Track and field with the sensational prospects of the World Athletics Championships in Berlin. And a whole lot of football, including the Women's Europeans and the 2010 World Cup qualifiers. That's Eurosport in 2009. Be part of it.
"63 minutes it's taken Roger Federer to get into a 2-sets-to-love lead. The complete opposite to his last round, where he was 2-sets-to-love down, of course. It does look like the rebound effect, and Del Potro is suffering, struggling to get his scoreboard working. He needs to right here.
Change of tactic, not helping him. I think you've got to say it's the plexi cushion effect, not the rebound effect.
Very good.
Surface, of course, that used to be rebound ace. It's now the Australian's own plexi cushion. Still have a feeling in really hot conditions, as there were today and have been on a couple of days during the tournament, a cooler surface would be better. Of course, they've made this blue their own, so I'm sure they're going to stick to it. Going for bigger, but just hasn't got enough variety, has he? And there's obviously now just flummoxed. Doesn't quite know what to do.
6-love set was the first between them. There's been a couple of 6-1 sets. All straight sets, the victories. 3 prior coming into this for Federer. Brilliant. Double bounce. And another block to love. Wow.
FC Ball.
Well, he's got him down, hasn't he? He's now trying to start to rub his nose in it.
Well, that'll be one of the photographs, I'm sure, in the morning's paper. I mean, he's played some delicious tennis tonight, Federer, but it's the unusual characteristics that we've seen from him. The little bit of dancing, the half volleys, the drop shots, and then the heading of the ball. Completely at ease.
New balls.
And there it is.
Love 15.
8 games in a row, of course, for Federer. We're going to see it from all angles.
Yeah.
He wouldn't make a very good striker, though, for him. It didn't go in the net, did it?
Yeah.
Very little has tonight for Federer.
Only once in the match has he lost consecutive points on serve, Federer. That was when he was serving for it. First set, 40 love.
He's just being pulled all over the place, Del Potro. He doesn't know where to go next.
No, and of course, tall men, good thing is wrong footing them. And Federer's just got that ability to take the ball early, to whip it at the last second. Make it very uncomfortable for a tall man.
40-15.
Tends to average about 11, 12 aces in a best of 5. All the matches were played best of 5. He got an angle, and he anticipated. The wrong footing shot from Federer turned out not to be such.
40-30.
Good thinking by Del Potro, and one of the very few angles he's played.
Wins him his 8th point against the Federer serve.
Game Federer.
And of course, that's one of the problems. Federer is striking the ball so handsomely that Del Potro is having to move very quickly And as a result, this gives the game away. Federer can see him en route to the other part of the court. It's behind him. But it must seem like last year that he last won a service game against Federer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just wants to get off the court now, Delpotrro. Cannot make an impression whatever he tries, virtually, apart from that one angle, as you mentioned, Fruit. Very little joy anywhere else.
Let's see if he can hammer home some big serves. Very flat.
Too good, by far.
Well, he's lost 10 successive points on serve as Delpotrro. It's from the frying pan right into the firing line.
Three more break points.
The way it's been going, I half expected that. Fully expected it to go over.
Yeah. You'd have expected him to have done enough with the wrist to have got hold of it. It's one of those nights.
Yeah, everything's going his way. Someone's given up the ghost.
Could be in the form of Delpotrro. You're going to feel sorry for him in a minute. 2 sets and 3 love.
Crossover Soul. Because of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Because of handkerchiefs and cowboy movies. Because of letters and confetti. Because of strange names and familiar faces. Because hellos and goodbyes are so much more than arrivals and departures, we invite you to experience the Emirates Terminal at Dubai International Airport. Fly Emirates to 6 continents.
And you really can glow at the performance. Many are on the Rod Laver Arena. History in the making, this tournament, of course, for Federer. And this is almost becoming a humiliation for him.
Well, it's certainly bringing Delpotrro down to earth, and when he comes down to earth, it's a heavy fall. 6'6", 1.98 m. He's from Tandil in the Argentine.
And just look at that. Gloom and despondency.
Yes, he needs all of them. Same town as Zabaleta and Juan Monaco. Well, he needs both of them on court with him. In fact, I think if Zabaleta and Monaco were on court with Delpotrro, Federer would still be beating them. Just one of those majestic performances of his.
Maybe he can thank Thomas Berdych for this.
He's a bit of a softy, Federer, really. I really thought he'd take that one on and put it away. Letting it bounce and then not smashing it to death.
Well, it's becoming repetitive, isn't it? Love game for Federer. Just 8 points conceded on serve. 4 behind his first serve, 4 behind his second serve. 11 games in a row against the world number 6.
Well, Djokovic would look at this performance and he'll say, firstly, of course, he was upset that he was playing during the day on a very hot day. These guys are playing at night and reasonably temperate climb, winning so easily, where he had to retire. What a difference.
Yeah. It's the weather putting paid to Djokovic's attempt to successfully defend, and Del Potro getting some sort of consolation support here. And Melbourne is about to go into its hottest run of days since 1908. There have been government health warnings issued for the next 4 days. Well, I think Federer is issuing a warning tonight in the cooler climb, but up into the 40s for the next 3 or 4 days. So will the roof be closed?
I would think so. Not at night tomorrow night, but I would think during the day.
Yeah. Winner of this plays Roddick next. And of course, Roddick beat Federer in Miami last year. It's the first win for Roddick over Federer since 2003, which made the head-to-heads 15-2 for Federer. He's always seemed to have Roddick's number, reading the serve. He takes that weapon away from Roddick, and most of his game with it. Roddick did serve brilliantly today. It's going to have to be again against this man.
15-13.
Well, it might even come down to tiebreakers with Roddick if he really serves well. Jumping the gun here, I know, but surely you all agree this is all over.
Number 2 seed now, of course, which is a weird thing to say after 237 consecutive weeks at the top of the pile. Do you think he's got used to looking up at the draw, Federer?
Yes, I wonder. Well, they often say they don't look at the draw too much, these guys. Just can't create anything even when he's pushed wide. Federer's finding the angles, he's finding the precision. Come on, Del Potro. Find something here.
Almost 2 bagel sets. And it would be 13 games in a row. And there's 12 effortlessly.
Well, he's merciless tonight. You can't blame him. He had a shock against Berdych.
The mauling continues. 5-love third set.
Boat Acha.
India, incredible India.
Very set match.
The Australian Open, brought to you by Kia, the power to surprise.
Second serve, Federer serving for the match after an hour and 19 minutes.
15 love.
I think he wanted to get to bed early tonight, Fru. Well, it's not going to be early, it's 11:30 now, but you know what I mean.
Early by Australian standards.
3, 4 o'clock in the morning could finish your tournament no matter who you are.
30.
Ace number 11. Add one. Not one double fault. 3 match points.
Oh boy, was he trying to end it on the highest of notes.
40-15.
A rare winner for the Argentine supporters.
Thank you.
Have they been muted?
Game 7 minutes.
13 games in a row, you can safely say, as he his arms aloft. Vintage Federer is back on the Rod Laver Arena. Is there an apology for Juan Martín del Potro? He's such a gentleman, you would imagine there was. Del Potro said it was going to be a challenge tonight. He was nowhere near it. Federer outclassed him in every department, and as per normal, the standing ovation when this man takes to the court. And after a performance like that, you could expect nothing less than another standing ovation.
Well, Rod Laver arrived today, the man who's won 2 Grand Slams, after whom this arena is named, and he would really have appreciated that performance. Yes, he wasn't stretched, but for Del Potro, who's got a good future in the game, there's no doubt about it. That will be a learning lesson. Just didn't find the lines, started off quite well, hit the ball solidly, but just played too much down the center of the court. Has to use his serve a little bit more. But as from Federer, 11 service games cost just 9 points. Quite majestic, quite outstanding.
So he's through to his 6th semi-final in a row here. It's his 21st major semi-final, his 19th major semi-final in a row. The stats, well, whether it's match stats, whether it's career stats, they just make for awesome reading. Absolute pleasure, even though it was such a morning, to watch Roger Federer in 80 minutes take apart the world number 6. And that puts a real warning down to the rest of the draw, those who are left. So day 9 comes to an earlier end than many would have expected after the long 3-setter with Dokic and Safina first up on Rod Laver Arena this evening. But much to look forward to on day 10 tomorrow. Rest of the quarterfinals. First up on the Rod Laver Arena at 11 o'clock in the morning will be Carla Suarez Navarro, who sensationally beat Venus Williams, of course, and she's playing the 4th seed, unbeaten this year, 2 titles. Elena Demencheva, many people's favourite.